Tracy Willie checking in your check. I don't know what going on. Welcome back to another video on Tracy Willie Pure Abundance. If this is your first time tuning into one of these videos, we encourage, inspire, and uplift each others to keep evolving into our greatest selves. If you are a returning viewer, you already know what time it is. Let's get it. So in this video, as you can see, I'm going to be going over 15 businesses I started by the age of 30. So that's pretty straightforward, right? We got 15 businesses I started by the age of 30. So as you can see, this is a list of all the businesses that I started by the age of 30. And some of these businesses weren't super official, like they weren't listed on paper. And some of these were listed on paper, but I'll start from the very beginning, and then I'll work my way down to, the end, showing you which ones were the most and which one were not so official. So let's get started. And also, I'm going to be sharing with you like pretty much not just the businesses I started, but what I learned and was it worth it? Would I do it again? And pretty much just my biggest takeaways, just so you can pretty much prevent yourself from having to start some of the same businesses. Uh, and what else can I say? Like, I pretty much, I wanted to say like I wasted my time for you, but I didn't waste my time because I learned so much. But if you were curious about starting any one of these businesses, at least you will have some insight on what it will entail. Because honestly, you might start one of these that I started and you might be able to execute and go further than I did. But at least you'll have some insight because I promised you, I pretty much looked up most of these when I got started. Not all of them, but most of them. I looked up, other people doing it and I try to learn, but my heart wasn't in all of them. And it's going to be very interesting when I go through this list because some of them like really stand out. Like some of them are repetitive and you're going to be like, okay, well, that's the one that Tracy's most interested in. So it's going to be an interesting video. So let's get right into it. So the first business I started was I sold fruits. This was around, honestly, anywhere between 2005 to 2007 or 8, probably even earlier. Honestly, I was a kid. Like I was really, really small. And shout out to my boy Bobo. It's chat because it was me, Bobo, and I am. We was picking fruits from the trees, like we was picking mango, and then we sold them on the side of the street just so we can buy some Subway. We was really young. We was probably like anywhere between 6 and 9 or 6 and 12, probably even earlier, man. 6 and 9, 6 and 10, 6 and 11, anywhere between that age. But we just was, we didn't want to eat what our parents was cooking at night, and we just wanted to eat something different. And like we picked the fruits from the mango tree, and then we posted up in front of the like a busy street in Williams Delight. For anybody who don't know, I'm from St. Croix, U.S. Virgin Islands, to check. So we posted up right there on that main street, right across from the subway, and we just sold fruits. And people drove by and we just was waving it, and some people stopped and we made some money and we got to buy some Subway. So that was my first experience like really in business, for anybody who don't know. So I don't ever forget that because it really meant something to me. And my boys was like, we didn't have no money and we just really tried to make something out of nothing, and we ended up doing that. Really bought some Subway that day too. So that's big. So that's the first business I started. What did I learn from it? I mean, I learned a lot. I learned that you can make money from doing something unconventional. You can make money from just having a will, and my biggest takeaway from it is like just no excuses. I was so fearless. The younger you are, even me having kids now, they just so fearless. They forgive so easily, and they just don't care about a lot. They just go on and on. They don't really think and stop and ponder on too much. They just keep going. So that's my biggest takeaway. So we done with that one, right? So fruits. I sold fruits when I was very young, specifically mangoes, what I'm saying, on the side of the street, what I'm saying? Beep, beep, we got mangoes, you feel me? But that was that. And then mixtapes. So I sold mixtapes. I want to say that was around 2013. Yeah, 2012, 2013. So I started making music. I was making music probably way before then, like 2009, my freshman year in high school. And then I kept making music all the way up until 2000. Even now, I still make music. So it hasn't been an end on that, but I don't make it. I'm not trying to make it in the music industry. I already made my mind up a long time ago. But I was selling mixtapes because I had a team around me, and I just try to take things to another level. So I was in high school still, my senior year, and I was selling mixtapes. I was going class to class. We was actually stopping the classes, like we was knocking on the door, and the teacher would be in the middle of a lecture or something, and we'll be like, "Hey," it's so funny because we didn't care, you know. It was just like, bruh, we selling mixtapes, you know, we trying to push a positive message, you know. It was big. But these two go hand in hand because honestly, I can put this one right here because this was 2013 as well. So I was selling mixtapes and chocolate at the same time. So in one bag we had mixtapes, and in the other bag we had chocolate and candy. You know, and I was the only person in high school who had the cookies and cream Hershey's. I had the Reese's, the Hershey's, everything you needed. You feel me? I had it there because we had vending machines and stuff like that, but we didn't have them. But it's a funny story because I ended up getting caught. Like the dean and the principal and everybody was on me, and I ended up getting caught. They ended up pulling me into the office, and like my homie had like a stack full of money, and he took it before I went into the dean's office, so they don't take it, you know. And then I got in there and I just let them take the chocolate, and it was just like, make sure you don't do it again. But I still kept doing it, but I was doing it on the low. Like I had to really come down until I didn't want to do it no more. So selling chocolate and selling mixtapes, I was just selling the mixtape saying, hey, every dollar you put into the chocolate and candy is going to the mixtape. So everything go hand in hand, you know, it goes into the music. Oh man, I made so much money. I can't remember how much money I made, but I want to say anywhere between 5 to 6 thousand high school. I'm talking like in a month or two, probably even less. And it could have been more. That's just a rough estimate. I really don't know. But yeah, that was crazy. So clothing, I want to say this was around the same time, but I did it two different times. I sold clothing right after high school, so just for a short period of time, and then I started selling clothes again, maybe anywhere between 2019 and 2021. That's when I started selling clothes. So my clothing was just my brand, you know. Built a brand. It went from Lost Vicious ENT. That's when I was selling like mixtapes and chocolates to Vicious Society. In that same time, I rebranded, and then it turned into Sinning and Vibing. You know, Sinning and Vibing was the first name of my mixtape, and it did so well. And I pretty much just turned my brand into Sinning and Vibing. Sinning meaning you know, like you pretty much just have a side of you that you don't always agree with, and then you have a side of you vibing that's just like you always agree with. So it's just like the little devil and the angel on your shoulder. You know what I'm saying? Sinning and vibing, balance in life. That's what I was trying to promote. And my slogan was operate accordingly, and it still is. You know what I'm saying? Better operate accordingly under all circumstances. So I started selling clothing during 2013 for a short period of time. While I was still selling this, I tried to get it booming, but I ended up graduating and things changed a little bit. And then in 2019, 2021, I rebranded, you know, Vicious Society, Lost Vicious ENT to Sinning and Vibing slogan, operate accordingly. Got all my little homies around, you know, even my cousin, shout out to my cousin, rest in peace. And all his homies, just everybody was just so big and promoting it. And I really appreciated that. Careful with that, Mastery, please. My son over there just being my son. So, okay. And then we did that. So I rebranded and we did that 2013, 2019. Boom. Biggest takeaways from this little uh, group of stuff that I did here, the businesses I started. And keep in mind, none of this was on paper. This is just me getting my feet wet, and I'm just sharing with y'all what I learned. So, what I learned was pretty much having certain people around you is very important. You know, well, actually, I take that back because they were amazing people. I want to say being in the right mental state is important because I take full responsibility for the mental state that I was in. You know, everybody was trying to say, do this, do that. And I was just like, no. And everybody wanted to push me to sign to a record label. And I just wasn't into that. Like, for a certain point, I was, but then I wasn't. So you can say, like, I was just in and out, you know, and just based on all my research, I just didn't feel like I needed to sign a deal to get to the place that I saw myself getting to in my head. And I knew I could get there independently. But the thing is, with these group of people around me, my team, they like, bro, like it's gonna take a long time for us to do it independently, you know, and anything can happen in between that time frame. So it was just best for us to go our separate ways and not keep trying to push this independent thing. I went my separate way and I still kept pushing this independent thing because I never believed in selling out to a label and like giving up my integrity to a label. And I was young and I already knew that. So at 18, I turned down the 18. Yeah, at 18, I turned down a 250K record deal because I just was not interested. And so on and so forth. You know, I like people like Young Dolph and Nipsey Hussle, even though they both sold out later on in their lifetime. Well, Nipsey more than Young Dolph. No, no, no. I'm not bashing Nipsey Hussle by any means, but he went and did a partnership with them people, and you know, it played out how it played out. If you know, you know. And then even Young Dolph, I don't really think he partnered with them. Yeah, he kind of did. He dropped that Illuminati thing. Like, it's just weird. Like, you gotta just gotta pay attention, you know. So I'm not for that, you know. So all of that, no. Mixtapes, candy and chocolate, clothing, they were good while they lasted, and I learned a lot. But I just wasn't into it for the long run, you know, and not at all. So good, you know. I'm still making music, but I don't do it to make it. And at that time, it was very, very conflicting because I felt like I had to do it to. It's funny because when I was making music, I made music for like the passion out of my heart, you know. And everybody was like, "Hey, when you gonna sign the deal? When you gonna sign the deal?" And I was just like, I had no idea about it. Keep in mind, I moved to America when I was 13, and I had no idea about like when people make music, they trying to get signed, you know. And moving to America when I was 13, and everybody's standard is, you know, if you make music, you get signed. They're like, "Hey, Tracy, you're so good at making music, you should get a record deal." But I'm like, what? I don't need to get a record deal, you know? So, but I let them people get to my head, and I try to, and then I was like, okay, I should get a record deal. And in the process of me trying to get a record deal and doing my research, I was like, I don't want to get a record deal. Like, I don't, that's not something that I want to do, you know? So, just, yeah, it just wasn't for me. Like, I never wanted to get signed to begin with. And then when I was introduced to it, I did my research and I still didn't want to get signed. So, music was just never something that I would have made it as big as I thought, because I thought it was a genuine playground, but it's not a genuine playground. And if you know, you know. So moving forward, man, got done with the music. You know, I went on to drop shipping. So drop shipping was a very interesting time because I wanted to get in on the mix. This was around, this was 2021, 2022. Yeah, just around 2021, 2022. Yeah, 2021, 2022. I got into drop shipping because oh man, it was the wave. Everybody was talking about it. You know, COVID was just had just ended, and everybody was talking about it. So I wanted to get in on the mix. You know what I'm saying? Mastery's right here. So I wanted to get in on the mix, and I started in with drop shipping. For those of you who don't know, it's just pretty much you find a product and then you sell it for a higher price. So let's say, Mastery, come over here, please. Let's say you find a product for, you know, $10. It's a massager, a back massager. Then you can flip it. You can create your own website on Shopify.com, and you can sell it for $20. You know, people do this all the time. You know, people on TikTok shop, they're still doing it. Just any and everywhere, they're still doing it. So drop shipping is a very, very lucrative business that you can scale easily and make it pop. But it's really only product based. So you really just got to find a winner product. And to find a product, I don't think it's hard. You just got to do your research. The product that I found, and I just thought about another business I didn't list, but a product that I found was a like a hearing aid thing. Like, I thought it was just more for just like not an actual medical uh what's that word? It wasn't like official, but it was a hearing aid, and I didn't know it was a hearing aid, you know. And then people was like getting on me, like they was like, "Bro, you can't be selling this, blah 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 blah. This got to be medically, uh, I don't know the word, official. Like, it has to be approved by the medical industry or something like that." And I didn't know. I just thought it was an earpiece, you know, for you to hear it better. I didn't know it was an actual hearing aid. So that's that. That didn't go well. I got discouraged. I ain't gonna lie. My website was getting a lot of views, and you know I was getting a lot of clicks. Somebody almost ended up buying, but just based on the reviews that they were leaving, based on like them saying that it's not official, I just got discouraged and I stopped it. So drop shipping didn't. That was probably like a month or two. That did not last long at all. I learned and I got up out of there quick. So then music, this was interesting because like I told y'all, I did music up here before, but for the music, this was around the same time, 2021, 2022. The only difference between this one and these up here, the mixtapes and stuff, is that this time it was official. So when I did mixtapes, I would like remix people's stuff. Like my albums or my mixtapes, they had original beats and they had other people's beats. So I couldn't sell it as an actual album or as an actual project. But when I got to this point in my life, I started selling it as my own projects, like all original beats, all original songs. So that's when I started putting it on this thing called DistroKid. For a lot of people who make music, DistroKid, Tidal. You can put your music on there without signing to a label, and you can get paid for streams. You can get paid. You can list your music on Apple Music, Spotify, and things like that, and actually get paid for your music. So that was pretty cool. I ended up probably getting paid like, I don't even know, nothing, like probably $50 max. So I really didn't get paid that much. So this was like 50 or less. Drop shipping was zero. Clothing probably made like $70. Candy and chocolate, we already said like 5K or probably even more. Fruits, we made enough to go get Subway that day. So that was like $27 split between three people. We each got a little half sandwich or something like that. You know what I'm saying? We was eat. And then moving forward, man, music was good. It lasted a pretty good time and it was a good experience. But moving forward, I'm gonna try to get through this list a little quicker. Car wash and landscaping. Car wash and landscaping was very interesting. I have so much footage that I could do a whole video on that in itself. Car wash and landscaping, man, it was truly, truly, truly incredible. This was 2020, so I'm going a little backwards, but 2020 to, yeah, really, I think it was, yeah, 2020. Yeah, I think it was all just 2020, 2019, 2020, if I'm not mistaken. I did it for like 8 months, but car wash and landscaping both. So both these go hand in hand. Like it was in the middle of the pandemic. I never believed in the pandemic and never bought anything that was going on. So at that time, since we were still making music and stuff like that, I said, well, I don't know, man. I had went like 7 months with no social media, and then on a hiking trip, I had thought about this idea to just start doing car washes because as a kid, I always saw my dad doing car washes, and I pretty much got the idea to do car washes for free. And then we pretty much take donations and we put it back into the music. Since my cousin and his homies was coming around a lot more, I was like, okay, this is the perfect time. We got a group, we got a community. Let's push it out there and let's just go crazy. Man, it was monumental, like really and truly. You had to be there, and I'm not just saying that. And if you was there, you already know. Excuse me. So car wash and landscaping honestly was life changing. I'm getting closer to me starting an official business because this was the most monumental thing that I did, and at that time at least. And it was just big. Pretty much we went door to door. We made poster boards. We went in parking lots at the Walmart. Everything. Everybody wearing masks, and we just didn't believe in it. So we was like, our motto or our selling point was, hey, it's the pandemic right now. We don't believe in it, and we just want to uplift our community because everybody's inside. So we'll wash your car for free. We'll wash your car for free, and we'll pull your weeds for free. And you can give us a donation. Any donation you give us goes right back into the music and goes right back into the nonprofit, quote unquote, so we can keep getting more products and providing a better service for you. We started getting a lot of donations. Some people we was even cleaning their cars, doing landscaping, and they weren't paying us anything. But we never, hey, we said it's for free. Just give us a donation. Nobody believed us, but when we showed up and we completed the job and we didn't ask for any cash, they were like, that's crazy. Some people gave us $1, $2, $5, $100. Different amounts at different times. So we took that amount, we bought more products, and then we ended up putting a price on it. So now we're trying to turn it into a business. And during this time, it was the most impeccable time because this is when I learned the most about business. Like, pretty much what I learned is like a lot of people that I was like running into, like very successful business minded people who actually ran businesses, they were calling me out. They were like, well, Tracy, are you keeping your receipts? Well, Tracy, are you applying for this? Do you have business credit? Do you have an LLC? Do you have a sole proprietor? Like, I was just like, I don't even know what none of that is, and it was rough, man, because I felt like I knew what I was doing, but unfortunately I didn't. And though I had like the sales and everything coming in and I wanted investors to come in, I didn't know what I was doing, but I did it to the best of my ability and I learned so much. Shout out to everybody that I met too. People like Shay Ron, her husband, Anthony. I forgot the partner name too, but he was very, very helpful. Like a lot of people who just came through. So man, that changed my life and that really made me want to lock in and like start an official business. And that's when I went to YouTube, wholesaling, and abundant filming. Man, this video is ending up longer than I thought. So, man, so YouTube. I then went into YouTube. I went into like more so around spirituality, if you may. Like I started uplifting my community. Same intro that I'm doing right now. You know, like I started pretty much just doing my best to educate my community on the things that I was aware of. Mastery, don't do that, please. Educated my community on the things that I was aware of. Started my YouTube in 2020, and I just kept it going from there. Like just making videos about stuff that I was learning, and it went pretty good. I ain't gonna lie, like it was a really good experience. But this was 2020 as well. Like I said, these are together. So pretty much, yeah, 2020, 2021, started my YouTube channel, and it was cool. Like I learned a lot. Everything was amazing. It's not too much to talk about there. I didn't really make no money. I was just trying to get monetized from 0 to 1,000 subscribers, but 1,000 subscribers came years later. So it's a business I started because I transitioned from the car wash and landscaping into like coaching and mentorship. You know, I was so close to getting paid for my first mentorship, but I try to use the same like strategy of doing things for free and then having people pay for it later. But that didn't work as smoothly because in their eyes, I don't have no credibility, you know. So I had to build up my credibility in order to be coaching somebody. But funny enough, I ended up coaching a guy who lived in Africa. So shout out to you. But it wasn't like I didn't charge him anything. I was just getting my feet wet. So that was cool. Him and like two other people that lived in the location I lived in. So that was pretty cool as well. Learned a lot from there. Wholesaling, this was interesting, man. Like wholesaling, I didn't know nothing about it. I bought a course, so now I'm trying to take things a little more serious. I bought a course, paid like $600-$700 for it, anywhere between those two, and then yeah, we just kept cold calling people. We bought a list and cold call, and then my lady, she ended up landing a potential like lead, and you know they said we was that's a whole video in itself as well, but we pretty much got in contact with somebody and they weren't selling a house. We pulled their name from a list and they weren't selling a house. So then excuse me, uh my lady was like, well, are you selling a house? And they were like, yeah, actually, yeah. Oh man. And then they told us about their house, and then we pulled up to their house and walked in. I didn't know anything about anything. He talking about shingles and stuff like that. I don't know what a shingle is, bro. Like I didn't know what nothing was, you know, but I'm in there acting like I know everything. So wholesaling was cool. We didn't make any money either, but it was a great experience because we got in somebody's house and we almost closed the deal. So this one deserves a whole video on itself. This one, like it's crazy. So wholesaling made 0 as well. Landscaping, oh my goodness, we made YouTube 0. Landscaping and car wash, we probably made, I don't know, I want to say anywhere between 2 to 5K. I'm probably exaggerating. It could be anywhere between 1 to 3K, possibly. I'm not too sure, but anywhere between there. And then abundant filming, this is when I said, well, hey, I'm gonna get back into filming, and not get back into because I never really did it, but I always knew and felt like I could do it. And I kind of did it way back when I was making mixtapes and stuff, but it was like I wasn't really trying, you know, because I had a team, I had people around me doing certain things. But this time around, I was like, well, I can film for people. I'm very detail oriented. I like to edit. The tedious work while editing does not bug me, blah, 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 blah. So I said, let me start abundant filming. Now, this was in 2022. 2022. Uh, yes, again. Master, can you sit down, baby, please? Appreciate it, Sonny. So, 2022 started abundant filming. I made some money off of here. For this one, I probably made not too much, 500 to 1.5K. Didn't really make that much at that time, but it was a good experience. Like I filmed for the people I knew, and you know, did a lot of free stuff. Still try to take that strategy. I do something for free, and then I turn them into clients. Didn't last long. Didn't do it. Like it really didn't really matter. I was like 6 months. Abundant filming, great experience. Nothing to really talk about there. Just video editing, like photography, videography, and editing. And then pretty much car wash. Okay, now this one is interesting. This one was also in 2022. So we try to double back on the car wash from here and try to turn it into like an official business. We try to really turn it into a LLC because we saw how good we did with these, and we said, well, you know what? If anything, we can go back and really learn from there and start a crazy business and make a lot of money. I got the whole game plan. I got the whole system. I learned so much. We can get it popping. So I intended to bring it back up and crush it, but unfortunately, it did not go as planned. Don't have much to say on that one. We didn't make any money, and that video, this one deserves a video on its own as well. So $0 there. And then abundant filming. So I came back. I said, well, the car wash didn't work. Let me bring back abundant filming, right? And this was also 2022 to 24. Honestly, it lasted pretty long. It went a little longer. And I made within that time frame. Honestly, I don't think I made that much money. 2022, 20. I don't think I made anything here because this was just me building a name for myself. Like I moved to a new location and I was just trying to network with people and build a name for myself. And it didn't really go how I envisioned it to. It did go how I envisioned it to, but I think that more so like my feelings towards it changed. I didn't care to keep pursuing it so much. So abundant filming, that one died out as well. Real estate, Airbnb. This business was called Yellow Flower LLC. And let me point that out too. So this one, we really filed an LLC for this one. LLC. We really filed an LLC for that one. This one, we really filed an LLC for this one. So we started getting serious with these. All of these, we never filed it on paper. It wasn't stamped by the state. It wasn't stamped by the government. It wasn't stamped by nothing or no one. It was just businesses that we were doing out of the kindness of our heart. And even just out of the ignorance in our mind, honestly. But these, we gained a lot more knowledge, education, and we started the LLC for these two. Though we dissolved both LLCs, we did start an LLC for this one. Not much happened. We intended to do short-term rentals like Airbnbs and stuff like that, but we didn't even make a dollar. Like we built the LLC and then we dissolved it within a few months. So that didn't even last a whole year. It was just very, very like, I guess, intimidating at the time with the mental state that we had at that moment. But today, with these, getting rid of all self-limiting beliefs, we can do anything we put our minds to. So that was a very interesting time. And then finally, I'm done talking y'all ear off. We got YouTube. I'm back in my bag. Pretty much YouTube, we got monetized in 2000. Oh yeah, and this was 2024. And this one was 2024 to 25, probably even earlier, probably like 2023, 3, 4, 5, 2023, 2024, 2025. So YouTube, man, we got monetized quick. So I was still doing my self-help and guidance, like information videos. And then that turned into like a couples channel. I brought my girl on the channel and we started doing like pranks. And then where the channel really took off is when we started doing like Indian content. So we started doing Indian content and the channel went like, oh man, it was crazy. It blew up. Like the channel literally blew up and we started getting paid from it. And we actually made some money. I want to say probably made not much, probably like 200, maybe $300, probably $200 to $300. Got monetized, but what actually worked on our YouTube channel was something that we weren't so interested in, which is crazy. Like it's never what you think it's gonna be. Like we reacting to Indian content because somebody suggested it, and then the first one we did, it just blew up, and everybody's just liking it and leaving comments, and the views is going up, and we was just blown away. Like what, Indian content, reviewing Indian movies and Indian trailers? Like this don't make no sense. So even though it was working and everything was going good, our hearts were not in it. So I couldn't commit to it because I'm not into it. Like I did it because somebody suggested it and it ended up working, and I'm thankful. But I'm not gonna keep providing content that my heart and my soul is not into. So that's why I stopped doing that. So pretty much, I mean, I'm here now though. Like I'm still under YouTube. I'm just rebranding a little bit. I'm more along the lines of real estate, stocks. Just stuff that interests me today, crypto, growth mindset, insurance, you know, things that I feel like help me in my personal life, so there's no disconnection between us and what I do in my personal and my real life. Just making everything connect so everything can make sense. So right now I'm in my YouTube bag again. You know, I'm more so coaching, just everything. Like I said, some of the stuff repeated. That's what I wanted to like share with y'all. Like YouTube, I ended up doing that twice, and then the car wash, I ended up doing that twice. Abundant filming, I ended up doing that twice. So there are certain things that stood out to me. You know, even wholesaling with real estate, I did that twice as well. So these are the things that really stood out to me the most. And you just have to take notes on your own life. You know, that's how athletes are great, because they got people tracking their every move. You know, like, you know, this is what you eat, this is what how you shot today, this is how you caught the ball today, whatever sport you're in. Like, you got to keep data, you got to track your life and see what's going on, so you can see what matters to you, and you can see what you're good at, you can see what you lack, and you can work on certain things accordingly. So pretty much that's it, man. These are 15 businesses I started by the age of 30. As you can see, out of all 15, only 2 ended up being on an LLC. This car wash, and then the real estate. And to be honest, LLCs can get expensive. So once you do start an LLC, before you try to start one, you know, reach out to me. You know, do your best to reach out to people or do your research before you start an LLC, because it costs. Depending on your state, it could be high, it could be low, it could be $70 if you're in a not so popular state, or it can be $200 if you're in a really popular state, just to file your LLC. And then you got to think about opening up your bank account, you know, trade lines, depending on where your personal credit. There's a whole lot of stuff that you got to consider. So before you think about starting a business, consider that. Reach out to me. I can help you as much as possible. But yeah, I mean, this is what I've learned. Those are my takeaways, and I'm proud of it. I got more to go, but yeah, we gonna keep it going, and I appreciate y'all. You know, hopefully y'all, not hopefully, but I know y'all gained some type of knowledge, some type of value from this video, and I'm just wishing y'all a great rest of y'all day, and I'm gonna see you all on the next one. Let's get it.